everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Odd Vlog, and this is a continuation of our kind of Star Wars celebration videos, and this time we're going to talk about Galaxy's Edge, which is kind of a big topic. I'm going to try to condense it to just a few kind of subcategories here or there. I think as well this is episode 22, and I didn't realise when I was filming episode 20 that it was actually me talking about the same things that we're also celebrating in 20th anniversary, which was Star Wars Celebration itself, and also 20 years since the release of Phantom Menace as well. So there you go. My 20th episode turned into more of a 20th anniversary episode than I thought it was going to, but there we are. Anyway, so Galaxy's Edge. Well, there was a panel at Star Wars Celebration that sort of released a whole new load of footage and images, artwork and some announcements, and we got to see quite a lot of really what we can expect, but without going into a massive insight. Obviously they're still sort of working on it. We've actually got, I think, a week and a half until the California Galaxy's Edge will open up, so we wait to see what it's actually going to be like. But from all of the things that we've seen so far, we know that it's going to be absolutely gigantic. It's huge. I saw somebody put up a kind of visual tweet where they had I think the layout of Galaxy's Edge, and within it you can fit things like Diagon Alley and Pandora and stuff like that from other sort of theme parks. So we know the scale is massive, and so far as we can tell, they've split Batu, as it's called, into two. So Black Spire Post, I think, is the kind of first order side of things, and then there's a resistance side. So the actual Star Wars land is divided up into two separate parts, which we'll come on to later, because they've added a feature which is actually very, very cool that relates to that. So we're just going to run through things really that were just kind of highlights for me. First of all, we'll get this out of the way now, was the Coca-Cola announcement, and the fact that what they announced, or what they released to everybody at the panel, was basically this footage where you can go into Galaxy's Edge and you can buy Coca-Cola. So just like any other part of the park, really. What's actually really cool about this is that it's obviously supposed to be themed, so you can't just go in and buy a bottle or a can of ordinary Coca-Cola. They've themed the actual packaging. They've written all of the information on the cans in, and I can't now remember the name of the language, official Star Wars language. Let's just call it that, because I can't remember what it's called. There is a name for it, and I can't remember what it is. But it does actually look very, very cool. Even just the shape of them, they look like grenades, or thermal detonators, actually, I should say. So theming wise, they fit really, really well, and they look actually very, very cool. And really, they're going to be a souvenir unto themselves, really. You wouldn't throw that away, or I wouldn't throw that away. You'd definitely keep that as part of your kind of Galaxy's Edge experience, I think. A lot of people have a problem with it because Coca-Cola isn't canon. Or a lot of people have said, well, or since when did it become canon, or how did it become canon? I think the people that are saying this are forgetting the fact that Galaxy's Edge, or at least one of them, is going to be in Florida. And trust me, I can tell you from experience, you need to drink a lot when you are in there. So you can't not have these things. And let's be realistic, Galaxy's Edge is costing an absolute bomb. It's a fortune to build something this ridiculous. Not just because of its scale and its size, but also because of what they're putting into it. The level of interaction, the ride experiences themselves, the technology that's in there is immense. You've got to pay for that somehow, so I'm not overly surprised that there is obviously some product placement going on in there. And Coca-Cola, when they came on and were talking about it at the panel, they were the ones that went to Disney and actually said, we want to be a part of this. Which I can believe, but I can also see it being the other way around, as Disney saying, can we have some money to build this kind of thing. But the products look cool. I think that more than anything else, they look really, really good, especially with the way they've been designed in the writing and the thermal detonator shape. They're recognisable as being Coca-Cola products, but they don't distract you from the actual level of immersion that you're going to experience in there. And who says Coca-Cola isn't canon? Anakin Skywalker could drink Coca-Cola if he wanted to. I'm sure he probably has done. Well, he would have done now. So there we are. So that was a bit of a thing that divided a few people, so I thought I'll get that one out of the way first. What's not dividing people, my second point, and I'm going to try and say this right, because every time I try I seem to mess it up, so if I do this slowly, Hondo Onaka, audio animatronic. probably up there as being one of the best audio animatronics I've ever seen. And there was some video that they showed of actually them sculpting quite a lot of it, the voice going into it, how it's all been put together, and then an actual clip of him kind of introducing guests onto the Millennium Falcon and what they need to do, and sort of explaining it to passengers as to what they're going to be doing on that ride experience. He's obviously a canon character. He features a lot in other things. So it's great to see them actually sticking to that and having that consistency and real actual proper Star Wars characters in there as audio animatronics. But it's just the level of this animatronic is ridiculous. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. To think that that's a robot and it can move and it can talk like that is actually quite frightening. But it's amazing. And I mean, a lot of people have said that the best animatronic at the moment is in Pandora. On the Navi River journey, and I can't remember the name of the character, but you've obviously got an Avatar character in there, and certainly if you've seen it, the movement is very fluid in the way that they do it. But this is right up there for me. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So if you haven't seen any footage of it, Google it or have a look on YouTube. You'll find plenty of clips of him. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So definitely worth a mention. The level of detail that they put into this, it just adds to the level of immersion when you're in there. So yeah, it's fantastic. The other thing that they've done, a third point here, is that Frank Oz is going to be featuring in Galaxy's Edge as the voice of Yoda. So again, brilliant consistency. Great to have Frank Oz actually in there in Galaxy's Edge as well. That's amazing. And from what we gather, Yoda is kind of going to be a bit of a presence within the park, probably explaining a few things to people in the way that Yoda does, and really just kind of being, a presence there to help guide you through it. It's going to be a big place. There's going to be a lot of things to do, a lot of things to see. So maybe he's kind of going to be a bit of a tour guide, possibly. I don't really know. But he is going to have a presence in there of some sort, and it will be played by Frank Oz, which is brilliant, because you'll know instantly who that character is the moment that you hear them. Another character which is reappearing is Rex. Technically it's R3X, but Rex. So if you're familiar with Star Tours, these things over here, the Star Speeders, Rex originally was the pilot for the first sort of phase of Star Speeders. Now I think it's R2, but back in the day it was Rex. And they've created a whole kind of backstory for Rex as to how he managed to escape Star Tours and being a pilot, to now finding himself on the planet of Batuu and being actually a DJ. He features in the cantina there, and he's going to be a DJ. And they actually played some of the music that he's going to be performing for guests there as well, which was amazing. It sounded very Star Wars. It was very, very cool. But the story is that he escaped Star Tours somehow, finds himself through all of these space battles that he's had on the planet of Batuu. He's picked up, he's cleaned up, and he's changed from being a pilot robot into a DJ robot, and now he's in this cantina. So it's great to have that link, because obviously you've got Disneyland history in it, but you've obviously got the Star Wars connection, making him more of a mainstream character, which is fantastic. We also saw that you're going to be able to get a pop vinyl figure for Rex as well, and I definitely want one of those. There's also a very cool sort of toy droid of Rex that you can buy that syncs into your phone and effectively acts like a Bluetooth speaker. So again, he's a bit of a DJ. Whatever music you want him to play, he will play. And he's quite interactive as well. So, merchandise was a massive thing that we saw at Star Wars Celebration, and Rex was just one of the main things really for me that just stood out, because he's got that link to the past from Disney rides, but also going forward, he's still there, he's still a presence, and he's cool. Let's just be honest, he's cool. Speaking of cool things, they talked about in the panel, the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run ride. This is going to be the only one of the 2 rides that will be open when they actually open up Galaxy's Edge to the public. What we found out, I think it's you go in with a crew of 6. 1 person as a pilot, 1 person as a co-pilot, 2 people as engineers, and 2 people as gunners. And the 6 of you obviously have to work together to try to presumably escape Batuu, go through some sort of space battle, and make it back again. Obviously, you've got your pilot and your co-pilot will do the majority of the steering and that kind of thing. The engineers, as far as I can tell, will be trying to keep the ship together as it's getting blasted by things. And then obviously you've got your 2 fighters there shooting at whatever it is that you're going to be shooting at. It's very cool. But what I really liked about this, what they said, is that the experience that you have on board is then reflected when you come off of the ship and you start walking back through the hallways of the Falcon to come off of the ride. So what they've done is that you can be absolutely amazing on this ride and have the cleanest, most perfect flight imaginable without getting a single scratch on the Falcon whatsoever. And then when you land and you basically finish your ride experience and you come off, you're walking off the Falcon itself as you're walking through it will be immaculate. It'll be spotless because you've flown it so well that there's not going to be any damage whatsoever. The flip side of that is that if you have a bad ride experience and you crash into mountains all the time and buildings and you get shot at 1,000 million times, when you then finish your ride experience and come off, the place is going to be like full of sparks and sirens and alarms going off and all kinds of things going wrong. Basically, the place is falling apart because you've trashed it, which is fantastic. That's a level of immersion on a ride that I think is great. Physically, I don't know how they're going to do it, whether or not it's just going to be a series of visual effects that they switch on if you've had a bad experience, or whether or not there's actually a separate physical hallway that you walk down to get off the ride, which is dependent upon what your experience was. But that's fantastic. I think that's really, really cool. I'm very curious to see how they do it. It's going to be really interesting. Obviously, we've only got, as I say, I think a week and a half now, May 31st, when we actually start getting to see some of this. And I can't wait. That's one of the things I'm really, really interested in seeing. It's a whole interactive experience. And we come on to the next point, which is just the level of interaction around the land itself. If you've got the Disney Parks app and you go into Galaxy's Edge, what we've seen is that you're going to be able to interact with an awful lot of things that are around you. So, for example, when you've got antennas and aerials sticking out of buildings or caves, and you hold your phone up to those things with the app running, you effectively can hack into whatever radio conversation is going on between those aerials. You can actually listen in on the conversations the characters are having, which I just think is absolutely so cool. You can do other things. You can hack into wall panels. There's games to play. There's all kinds of these different interactive things that just add to your experience and kind of add to the story of Galaxy's Edge and bring other characters into it from presumably films, books, whatever. You can hear those conversations and you're actually there. You're in that world. You're in that story, and that's something that we just don't see anywhere else. So that's very, very cool. Really, really like that. Can't wait to see it. Hopefully, can't wait to try it. I'm a little bit skeptical. I think initially it's going to be one of these things that probably isn't that reliable, but it will get better. There's going to be teething problems. Don't be surprised if you see Smuggler's Run breaking down every hour, or the level of interaction experiences that they have there, or the app itself crashes quite a lot. There's going to be so many people going through it relentlessly and using it. They're obviously not going to be able to know how much it can cope until it gets that real full level of test of actual guests turning up and using it and trying all this stuff out. Very good for Florida in a way, because obviously they open later in the year. They open in August. Any teething problems that come through from Galaxy's Edge in California, they can hopefully work on before they open up the Florida one. So I'm expecting the Florida opening to be probably a more reliable and more efficient, hopefully, opening to the public. So we'll see. I mean, hopefully it'll be fine. The other thing that they showed us at the panel was the build your own lightsabers that you can get. Now this is worth mentioning because at the moment, if you go to Disney Parks, the build your own lightsabers are somewhat toyish and gimmicky and very plasticky, as you can tell, and that's exactly what they are. There's nothing overly exciting about this particularly. I mean, it's cool. Its build and made is a bit of fun, but yeah, it's entirely plastic, and Galaxy's Edge is going to be better than that. It's going to have way better looking lightsabers. Actually, they certainly look like they're made of more of a metal construction, more interesting designs, more intricate designs, and again, it's that level of immersion, because if you walk around with one of those, it doesn't feel real. It feels like a toy. You want something that actually puts you into the environment. So they've clearly worked on that. And now the build your own lightsabers that you can do in there are going to be way, way better, way more cool. And by the sounds of things, far more unique. So whatever it is that you create, chances are that it's going to be unique to you, which is fantastic. Now, there was a quote that was given out at the time, which has bugged me. And I don't have it written down, so I don't know the exact wording, but it was something along the lines of the fact that if you wanted to have basically a perfect lightsaber, you have to go to Galaxy's Edge to get it. That's really not the case. Obviously, yes, at the moment compared to those ones, yeah, fine. But I think if you have a look at actual combat and replica lightsabers that you can buy. I'm thinking really of Saberforge and JQ Sabers here, where I've had my own experiences of looking at those. The best lightsabers that money can buy? No, absolutely not. The ones from Saberforge are on a whole other level, I'm afraid. So yes, Galaxy's Edge is going to have better ones than what they have at the moment in the parks, but they are not the best that you can get. And yeah, there is a premium that you will pay for going to somewhere like Saberforge for them, and also the ones that you get from there are actual proper combat lightsabers, so they're different. They're obviously not toys and gimmicks like those. They're a whole another level of thing. Hopefully I'll be able to show you one of those very, very soon, as I believe tomorrow I will be having my own JQ Saber being dispatched for me, so I'll be able to show you what those look like. And again, they are combat sabers. This particular one is a training one. So I'm really excited to show you that. Actually, it's something that I haven't mentioned to anybody yet, but I have started to have lessons on combat lightsabers. So I'll save that for another video, but it's very, very cool. And I'll show you the difference between that and what you can get in a Disney park at the moment. And I think really the ones that you can build in Galaxy's Edge will be somewhere in the middle, if we're being honest. So I just got to get that off my chest. One thing that is very cool though are the droids that you can buy. I've mentioned Rex already, but there are other ones, and the reason why I mentioned this and why I said before about the fact you've got two separate parts to the land and why that's so cool, you can buy toy robotic droids, whatever, from either, and you can go to the First Order part of the land and you can buy a First Order droid, or you can go to the Rebellion side of the land and you can buy a Rebellion droid. But what I love about this is that when you take that droid and you put it into the other land, it'll actually behave differently. It will get nervous and it will get scared, and it will be fully interactive and pick up on where it is and behave differently. So obviously if it's in its own area, it's fine, it's relaxed, it's normal, it's happy, it's content, and it's a bit like having a pet, I suppose. Take it into the environment where it's not supposed to be and it will behave differently. And again, this is just a level of immersion that is just adding to the experience. I just think that's so much fun. I think that's brilliant, and I can't wait to see what they actually physically do. Obviously this is just words that we've heard so far, but I can't wait to actually see how these droids will behave differently, and just how good they're going to be. But again, I love that. I just think that's amazing. Merchandise generally in Galaxy's Edge is going to be on a whole nother level, and this is going to be really interesting because the idea and the theming for the merchandise is that it's made by the people that live in Batuu for the people that live in Batuu. You can't go to Galaxy's Edge and buy a t-shirt that says Galaxy's Edge on it or anything like this, because you wouldn't be able to buy that in Star Wars, because it just wouldn't exist. So everything that you can buy there is themed. Everything that you can get there is supposed to fit. You can probably go to other parts of Disney parks and buy Galaxy's Edge stuff, branded things, but with this it's different. Again, it's a level of interaction and immersion that just fits so amazingly well, and it's difficult because we've seen a few things. Obviously there's like a type of pet store that you can go to where you can get all of your plushes of aliens and creatures and porgs and whatever, which is amazing. And you can go to what is effectively an antique store, a relic store, and pick up all kinds of what will be kind of ornamental objects, I think, is what I'm getting, things like holocron things and statues and that sort of stuff, collectible stuff really. But even, you know, down to the finest detail, they've really thought about how they can involve everything in an interactive way, right down to the clothes that you can buy. If you want to buy a t-shirt with Galaxy's Edge written on it, yeah, you're probably going to have to stay out of the land. When you're in there and you want to buy clothes, it's going to be costumed, which again is just amazing. It's the only place in a Disney park where you can wear costumes, so far as I'm aware. Not quite sure how that's going to work when you walk out of Galaxy's Edge, because they won't want you wearing it in any other part of the park, because that's how Disney parks operate. So it's going to be interesting to see. But again, it's that level of immersion and the fact you are in there and you're making your own Star Wars story on Batuu, and that's very, very cool. And again, can't wait to see it. Now this is the problem, and I say see it, I'm not entirely sure how much we're going to see or how soon we're going to see it, because what they have also announced in the last few days is that if you want to go to Galaxy's Edge, you have to be staying in a Disney hotel on site to get an allotted time to go to Galaxy's Edge. You cannot queue up, there is no standby line, you can't just queue and go in whenever you want. It's not how it works. You have to be staying at a hotel, you have an allotted time that you go in, and that's it, that's an end to it. So if you're staying off site, you're not getting in, and I think a lot of people may not realise this. If you're staying off of Disney property in a villa or some other resort, whatever, you're not getting into Galaxy's Edge, and I think people need to realise that I don't think they've done a particularly good job of telling people this, because it is quite harsh. I understand it, because it's just going to be absolutely heaving right from the word get-go. So you will have Star Wars fans, theme park fans, roller coaster fans, Disney fans. Everybody's going to be clamoring in to try and get in there as quickly as they possibly can to see it all on that opening day, and they simply cannot cope with that. There's only so many people they can allow in at any one time for safety, but also otherwise you're just going to end up with 6-hour queues to get on the ride, which you may very well find is going to be the case anyway. But at least that way they can try to crowd manage and hopefully keep everything working as well. So it's worth mentioning that, because yeah, if you've got tickets to go to Disney World, Disneyland this year, and you're hoping to go to Galaxy's Edge, well, a lot of it's going to depend. It's entirely going to depend on where you're staying. They haven't announced this for Florida yet. This is just something, as far as I'm aware of, that they've announced for California. But I would imagine the same thing is going to apply. And obviously we'll wait and see how many teething problems there are from this. And the reason why I say when are we going to see any of this? When are we going to start getting footage? Well, the reason I mention that is because if you're a vlogger and you make YouTube videos for theme parks, Disney, whatever, you can't just turn up, queue up and get in. You have to be staying there. And I'm wondering, actually, is that going to put a few people off? We're obviously not going to see as many YouTube videos appearing for new rides as we probably would for anything else. It's going to be quite selective and a little bit tricky. So for me personally, it's going to be years before I get to go and do any vlogs from there. But I think it's going to take time before we start to see your kind of regular vloggers, if you like, appearing on YouTube with footage from Galaxy's Edge. There's bound to be some. There will be some. There will be some die-hard hardcore fans that will be there with a hotel, ready to go, allotted time. And yeah, we can't wait to see that. But it's going to be interesting. Definitely going to be interesting. Finally, the only thing I think I was going to mention is canon. And basically, what I really love about this is the fact that they are incorporating Batuu, Black Spire Post, Galaxy's Edge into canon completely. So it's already started to appear in novels and comics. And I forget, there's I can't remember what it's called, but there is a particular novel where in the story Darth Vader does go to Batuu. So you're getting the actual canon characters appearing there, going there, and hopefully what we're going to find is that with these interactive things like the radios that you can hack into and listen, they're probably going to be telling a little bit of those stories. So it's all linking together. It's all coming, it's all becoming a part of a Star Wars experience and linking with the films, so that you really are truly stepping into the world of Star Wars, actually on your feet. You can touch it, you can feel it, you can smell it, you can taste it. It's no longer just watching it on a screen anymore. This is going to be something entirely different and amazing, and I cannot wait. I pray to go and see it for myself and actually be there to experience that. So with that said, yeah, it's very, very exciting. I've managed to stay remarkably calm throughout this video, despite the fact that when I ran through this for somebody else, I was so hyperactive, it was quite scary. So yeah, I've tried to stay calm. But if you're excited for Galaxy's Edge, leave a comment down below, give this video a like, let me know what you think. What are you excited to see? If you saw the Star Wars Celebration panel, what excited you the most? What's going to be the one thing you're looking forward to about Galaxy's Edge more than anything else? For me, it's just the whole thing. I can't wait. Cannot wait to see it. So with that said, we are done. In the next video, we're going to be talking about The Mandalorian. So stay tuned.